It looks really great, though.
I put the comment.
I put the real beef and feathers.
I put a comment that said Michael and Gabriel. I put it in Heru. It was like that.
Nice. Hey, what's up, y'all? You're now tuned in live to Super Heru Radio. I'm your host, Aseer the Zucketeers, as always. Thank you. I'm your host, Aseer the Zucketeers, as always. You know, we are broadcasting live from NRO Central. My man Cav's crib. Says peace to him. NRO, Pharaoh Z, Supernova, Jahari Supernova, the whole fam, man. We want to say peace and thanks for the love and hooking us up and letting us do our thing and giving us a place to broadcast. We want to give thanks and praise to the Creator for bringing us out here safely, as well as for creating an open platform for us to do our thing, as well as being able to finally come out with our opus, which is the Dark Skull 418, the world's most dangerous comic book novel. You can go to www.darkskull418.com to check it out, see where we're going with it. Also, we want to definitely build with you. Everybody, please check in. There's a section in the site called the Dark Skull 418 Adventure Society. Feel free to join up with the email list so we can let you know all the great things that's going to come from this work, man. And I really want to appreciate all the support that we've gotten. Also, the people who have gotten pre-orders, thank you for doing so. We're definitely getting that out to you. It's just that we got to sell them to print them, you know what I'm saying? So I'm striving to make more so I can get those out to you as well. But everybody got pre-order automatically will get a sketch of one of the characters that we put into the book, and please bear with me. We're moving from a mom-and-pop organization to a more mainstream, streamlined way of doing things. So thank you guys for your patience and bearing with us with the orders and all of that. It's not easy just doing it with two people, myself, McQueen, and Amore. Y'all should really see Amore trying to burn some of these DVDs. And it's real funny, but long story short, you know, we're striving to upgrade it because one thing I'm noticing about our community, I don't know about you, but we're moving to a state where we really need to actually have something viable where it's not like we all just pooling money in together to hopefully get something popping and it never turns into shit. I'm of the opinion that we have to really progressively and aggressively propel our movement if we want to see something happen with it. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is to create as much things that I can do to put it out there to bang on this devil. You know what I'm saying? So if I got to write, if I got to draw, if I got to do whatever I got to do with it in the mainstream to be able to make some currency that's where we could put it into something more worthwhile, then I'm with that. And I'm supporting anybody and everybody that's with that. So I definitely want to say, again, peace to all of you for all of the support that you've shown us over the years with all of that. You know what I'm saying? So current events, there's a lot of people dying, of course. You know what I'm saying? You know how we do. A lot of ritual sacrifices coming down the pike. They are going in on the Kennedy clan again. Now, whenever they go in on the Kennedys, you know it's something coming dealing with the financial situation because the Kennedys are a satanic or ritualistic family that usually gets sacrificed around the time that they need what they would consider pure blood or their type of blood in the actual ritual to make it happen. The Kennedy is the sacrificial arm. The Kennedy family is the sacrificial arm to another family, a higher family, or their what's called overlord family, referred to as what are these names called? The Cavendish. Now, the Cavendish aspect of the Kennedy clan was more instrumental in the adoption of the protocols that led to the assassination attempt going back to the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I never will remember a day to remember when the gunpowder plan should be forgot. And that basically is a rhyme that goes to the Cavendish and Percy family who were in cahoots and basically put up a guy named Guy Fawkes to basically geese him up as one of the first patsies in history to go and blow up the Parliament building. Of course, he was found and hanged, and on prior to that, he confessed that he was coerced to do it by both of these families. One of these families, the Percy family, bounced out of Europe and came over here and changed their name to the Pierce family. And from the Pierce family wound up hooking up with the quote-unquote, or hooked up with the quote-unquote Scherf family. And then from the Scherf family, they changed their name to Bush. So again, for those people that don't know, Aleister Crowley is Barbara Bush's father, right? And is George Bush's great-great-grandson. You know what I'm saying? And the Percy family itself is actually the Bush family, and both the Percy and the Bush family all basically go all the way back to that aspect of, what I just relayed to you. So this killing of Caroline Kennedy comes right after, if you notice, there was a whole thing about exhuming the body of the other Kennedy that they killed. And once they exhumed the body, they wanted to move it. But what happened was he didn't tell nobody that the body was going to be exhumed. He just kind of did it, and then everybody found out later. Then the sister of the chick that was so distraught from it, she basically got into a coke binge and and started driving recklessly throughout the state and throughout upstate and wound up crashing, almost hit somebody, killed somebody. So allegedly now she's facing some sort of jail time, wink, wink, which, probably won't happen. But this is to show you how beset this family is. Now, the last time you heard of them talking is when they were trying to get Caroline to run for some sort of office in New York. But if you notice, she really stepped away from that real quick because she was not trying to, be the next one on the sacrificial ticket. And who can blame her? So, with that going on, or that being said, there's another ritual sacrifice going on in mainstream media with the killing of this guy's son. What's this nigga? Sylvester Stallone. His son is mysteriously dead all of a sudden through some sort of heinous ritual. You know what I mean? He just he just found himself, gone. So in that, there's really no sketchy things. There's really nothing that people are really putting out about it, which I definitely know is connected to why the whole shit is kind of being kept on the low. But it's also interesting, whenever people have a body and they exhume the body to try to find out something else, what you got to know is that they're doing rituals on that body. It's not just like they just digging the body up to move it and things like that. No, you remember, you're dealing with a whole nation or a whole society who worships death, okay? The Kennedy family or the Kennedy family was specifically on the side of the Brotherhood of Eagles. Those people who are on the side of the Brotherhood of Eagles are the ones who usually get sacrificed, whereas those people who are on the Brotherhood of Angels, the Brotherhood of Death, are the ones that's usually doing the sacrifice. So in that state, this is what's kind of like going down. So what we got to remember is that in these heavy cycles of ritual and ritualistic killing, we have to make sure that we don't put ourselves in a position to manifest one of those off-brand sacrifices. Because remember, this is the first month of Jason. So in the first month of Jason, two major so-called celebrity figures have already been taken out. And these white folk, they killing. So remember, you got to kind of do the knowledge that, things kind of expand and decrease based upon certain times of the season. One of the major things that's going on also is that we're in a time now where we're going to get the first full moon in Capricorn. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry, yeah. I needed to see something really quick. I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. Yeah, God. They created there's a full moon in Capricorn coming up. Yeah, so this is the shit that you got to really listen to. So in July, we got potent times for manifesting the wishes, right? One of the best power days to do this is Thursday, July 19th, between 6:13 a.m. and midnight. That's the best time to put a healthy wish out there. Another good time to do it is Friday, July 20th. You clear to do those. You clear to do those all night and all day. Then the next day you got is Saturday, from July 21st, about 12:01 a.m. to about 1:17 a.m. And then after that, you good to about 1:24 p.m. To midnight. After that, it's pretty much a wrap. But full moons in Capricorns at 26 degrees, 55 minutes is very heavy. It's very interesting too because you'll also feel like you have like a lot of like objectivity, being able to see past shit that you wasn't necessarily doing before. You know what I mean? Or like people coming to you because Capricorn rules a skeletal system. So it's interesting that right when Jason starts, July starts, and they ritual season starts, that they get rid of this chick Kennedy. They exhume the other Kennedy body, and then they kill Sylvester Stallone's son. So all of this happens within the first month. And again, these white folk, they killing. So, everything come in threes. So now is the time, being that they killing their own self, for you to see the hidden message in that, which is that they're turning on each other. If they're turning on each other, that means that we're in a better position. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes a situation where the more energy you put into direct communication, the better it is you'll be. The more you try to go around shit and insinuate shit, people are going to take that shit the wrong way. You know what I mean? The more you are firm in what it is you want to see achieved, the quicker it is for you to be able to do what you want to do. Another thing, too, is that with a full moon in Capricorn, you also have a chance to look at your present situation, whatever that situation is, in a unihemispherical way. Unihemispherical thinking is when you think with both hemispheres of the brain simultaneously. So if you're ever in a situation in life where, let's say, you have somewhere and then there's a lot of people around, you doing the knowledge, you seeing people seeing you, but then you almost, sometimes you could be in a party and then you could have kind of like a bird's eye view of the party even though you're in it. This is a time where energy like that is going to be a lot more proficient and a lot more prevalent. So it's the best time for you to be able to peep, almost have what they say when they say you have eyes in the back of your head. This is the best time for you to peep people's bullshit before it even starts. So when somebody starts talking to you and they say something to you that hits you the wrong way, run with that. Don't let that fester. Don't try to, explain it away. Ask the person what they really mean. Because we got to remember, Capricorn is also indicative of Baphomet, right? And Baphomet is also equivalent or indicative to Saturn. And we just went through this whole major phase of Saturn direct to Scorpio on Friday the 13th. So that was a great portal opening for those people to get their work done, because Saturn is the work planet. So if you are doing what you're supposed to do with that energy right now, then Saturn is definitely working towards your benefit. If not, then it's going to turn, or I should say that goat turns into a Baphomet and then basically starts kicking you in the behind until you situate, you know what I mean, get your shit together. So it becomes almost like a test to kind of like dead distractions. This is a good time to make a list. Get in your crib, make a list of at least 10 to 12 people. 10 people in your life that's actually bringing about a good progression in your life, and 10 people that's distracting you. If you got more people on the distracting list than the fulfillment list, you need to get your shit together. One of the interesting things about this about this time too, is that this is also an auspicious time for those people, ancestors from the past, to start to come out. Because it's basically summer now, because it's summer, and because people are in a more open state, all of the flowers and stuff is budding and all of that, this is the time when people are going through the phase of renewal, So any plans that you've had about relocating, any plans that you've had about taking certain jobs that you may not have been sure of, not because of the job, but maybe because of what it may affect other people, then you're not really doing your work. You got to do the knowledge that that you can't really help nobody unless you get your own house and your own shit together. You know what I'm saying? You can't really help get somebody else's house in order unless all of your situations and all of your things are, all your ducks are in a row, per se. Now, there's been talks again with that they came out and now they trying to explain away the voice or the sound heard all around the world. They've been trying to explain that away, but again, we talked about it on the show a couple of months ago, and then a couple of days ago I seen one of the New Age people on one of their YouTube things talking about the same thing. It basically corroborated what we was talking about. So I feel safe to say what it is, and essentially it's the venting of the exhaust coming out of these underground tunnel networks that are crisscrossing the country right now. And a lot of these fires and these things that are going down are specifically in conjunction with that, or trying to cover up what's really going down, you know what I'm saying, in terms of that. This is what's also going with the mass migration of gentrification going on throughout the country, specifically in the urban areas. You have a lot of so-called affluent people now moving into so-called urban areas. Again, I'm seeing it in New York. You know what I mean? I just came here and I've seen the whole stadium. Now, when I left, that was like the open pit, basically, because it used to be a rail yard and then all of that. And I saw all the businesses that they kicked out in order to build this monstrosity that your man, Jay-Z or whatever, is about to put down. So you got all these people, you know what I mean, about to go and enter the mass ritual of inaugurating this place, where really what you're looking at is the specific ritual of inaugurating this new energy, or quote-unquote what they're trying to classify as the new Brooklyn. So the new Brooklyn, whenever they bring stuff like that up, they're talking about new this, new that, they're talking about a specific change-up of the indigenous population that exists in it. Then, to help them, they have certain hipster people, you know what I'm saying, in different communities, you know what I mean, throughout the hood, as well as not just New York, other places or whatever, that try to make the gentrification and the integration of this whole agenda of mass displacement cool. Now, some people say, oh, well, it's all about economics. It ain't about, color and stuff like that or whatever. But to those people, I would say, well, if that's the case, then economically speaking and colorly speaking, the math just don't add up. You know what I'm saying? It just don't add up. And the way I'm seeing things, see, nothing happens in city or urban renewal, especially city planning, without going first through a city planner's hands. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about city planning, you're not just talking about planning what buildings go where or whatever. You're talking about the relocation and the disenfranchisement of certain communities based upon that, and the heavy emphasis of military, a.k.a. police, incursions into those communities that they seek to gentrify. Therefore, like I said, when I was coming up, I came from an era where I remember when pigs was wearing ties, you know what I'm saying? When they were wearing ties and patent leather shoes, you know what I mean? So we went from that to high-tech boots to just straight-up black Timbs now. Like, these dudes is not even, you know what I mean? We went from a blue suit to straight black, you know what I'm saying? So, whenever you see all blacked out this and all blacked out that in movies, that's always the bad guys coming to get you. You know what I mean? So just because, like I said, these bad guys are enforcing, or these people are enforcing a certain financial mandate, doesn't excuse the fact that you're getting rid of all of the culture. But then at the same time, like I said, because you have the hipster influence, what you get is the ability to assimilate that culture into it. Like I said, we talk about, the difference between the way things, real things are and real things aren't. Like a DJ, when I was growing up, was somebody who knew how to spin records. You know what I'm saying? Who knew how to scratch records, who knew how to rock a party. You know what I mean? The DJ back in the days was the emphasis of the party. The DJ in the beginning of rap, as we know, was the center. It was DJ Jazzy Jeff for the Fresh Prince. It was DJ Cash Money and Marvelous. It was DJ Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5. It was, you know what I'm saying, DJ whatever. But it was always, but when the split came in hip-hop, you had the split to create that. The split had to happen in order for them to create rap. Understand? So the split came in how it is we perceived and started to entertain the culture. So all of the so-called morenos, right, or Moors or black people or Negroes or whatever, we went into, or they went into rap and DJing, right, cutting, scratching records, you know what I mean, backing up MC. And then it went into, and then the Hispanic, or quote-unquote Latino aspect of us went into maintaining the breakdancing and the breakdancing and the graffiti. And because records were seen to make more money, and DJs at the time, you know what I'm saying, were seen as a tool by the record companies where they needed to have more of a face, right? So they decided to back the MC more. You see what I'm saying? And so the MC started taking a dominant aspect. But in that, then you had groups who were still dedicated to the music, because we're still talking about a time where we're trying to, there's quote-unquote purists, and people trying to keep things at a certain level. You know what I'm saying? And this is also a time where mainstream hated rap. And they still do. They just use it more now as a means to make money and stuff like that by lampooning it, you know, and reducing our interest and love for it. You know what I mean? By backing corporatized rap and not the influential, you know, true hip-hop. But in all of that being said, all of that was strictly based on an economic decision. And that economic decision would then affect rap all the way to now, where at the time that Biggie was alive, you know what I mean, there was very few white folk over there. You know what I mean? When I say white folk, I'm talking about yuppies, you know, upwardly mobile, Caucasian people, you know, just getting out of college, you know what I mean, getting their internship, paying paid internships and all of that, paying $1,350 to $2,000 or $2,500 a month for like a box, you know what I mean? Meanwhile, everybody next door is on the verge of getting evicted because they've been paying $450, you know what I mean, since like 1973, and now the city wants to flip it up. So at the time that Biggie was out there actually selling crack and the community was against him or whatever, was totally different. Now I'm walking down the same avenue and I'm seeing a giant mural that says Comandante Biggie, you know what I mean, as if to say that Biggie was a communist. Biggie wasn't a communist. But again, this was done by some, you know, young Jewish kid, probably from wherever, Israel or wherever he is, and he's giving his interpretation based on his hipster influence mindset that is induced by his perception of the diluted aspect of hip-hop culture and the mythos created behind Biggie, who is a manifestation or a symbol of Jupiter. You know what I'm saying? As he was very, people with a heavy aspect of Jupiter are usually bigger, or what people consider fat or obese or whatever. But him being an aspect of Jupiter then also brings in an aspect of him representing Bacchus. Bacchus is the Greek god of wine. Bacchus was in quote-unquote Grecian times known as Dionysus, right? Dionysus, right? But Dionysus is actually a Etruscan or let's say ancient Etruscan way of saying Dionysus, right? Which is Nasut being king or prince or the bee or the head bee, because the bee was very symbolic to ancient Kemet. So again, the assassination or the ritual killing of Biggie again created this vortex in which now those people who was going to inherit what they perceive as hip-hop from that point on and eventually move here were basically ingratiated by the mythos and the image and the James Dean aspect of who and what Biggie represented or was to the people. So now this becomes a selling point to real estate agents who want to give these young hipster people who are coming out here with all this bread or whatever the platforms or whatever to come in and do that. Now, when me as somebody who grew up here, who went to the community board and asked them if we could put up a mural for Biggie, to honor Biggie, right there on St. James Place, right where Pop's restaurant is, Joloff, big up Pops with Joloff, right there we wanted to do it. they was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? That's not dope. You know, so, you know, when I'm walking by this giant mural of Biggie now being archetypically represented as a archetype then of Chairman Mao, I'm looking at it like this nigga was not a communist. If anything, he was a capitalist. If anything, he was a venture capitalist, an entrepreneur based upon how he was clipping the block and holding the crack shit down. You know what I mean? So in all of that now, I have to now, or my children now, when they look up at this picture and they understand whatever it is Biggie represents or whatever to us as original people who know what it really means, what he was talking about in party and bullshit, this is why he always rapped about drinking, smoking weed and drinking. Because, again, Bacchus, Dionysus, the god of wine, is there to act as a spiritual lubricant to the expansive nature of the Jupiterian energy that manifests from that perspective. This is coming apart. It's all good. You got it. So, like I said, I'm walking down bugging. I'm seeing this thing like, oh, okay, this is how it's going down. Then I look across the street, you know what I'm saying, and all around me. If we're talking about, you know, progress, then yes, we can say that financially progressive things have occurred, and that's good. Yet, you can't tell me as somebody who grew up on South Oxford Place, I'm just using my personal experience as an example, you can't tell me that the nostalgia and the quiet loss, right, of connection to one's, again, home is not something that I should feel, that I should somehow negate that for progress, for the aspect of progress, not even of my own people, because most of the people, again, that's owning property over there now, and not the people that was owning property when I lived there. So how is that something for me? How is that something for my young original black child to come up? Well, let's look at how we were raised. A lot of our parents didn't really start teaching us about finance and stuff like that. A lot of us found out about that stuff on our own. A lot of affluent children, no matter what racial background they come from, their parents tend to set up things for them off the rip because they got money to do that. 501k, you know what I'm saying, trust funds, these things like that. They learn these things early, and the children never have to really worry or go through the aspect of doing that because it's all paid for. And if not, they could always get a black person to come and nanny and do whatever it is they could do, so that way they could spend 5 or 6 hours at the gym. Meanwhile, your black child is at home at Head Start, another program that they're now trying to cut all of a sudden, based upon this new goal now. Because now that they have now introduced this whole Obamacare thing, a lot of other things that fall under the precept of things like care and maintenance or human maintenance get ixnayed, meaning cut off, because they are coming from a perspective now that the government is going to provide the health care for the people. Therefore, the state needs to do basically the bare minimum, and in that it can divert things that it was going to do on a state level for health and put that into other things, like, again, real estate, infrastructure, building up roads, ripping them down. This is how they. This is who they are. So this progressive aspect of so-called progressive mentality is actually a ruse. It's progressive so long as you go along with it and you don't ask questions about what's going on. Well, if crime is down in the city, then how come the police recruitment is up? You see what I'm saying? If the streets and the roads themselves have become less obstructed, how come there's so many ripped up streets? Because everybody is milking everybody, because this whole changeover that they want to flip up on December 21st is integral to their mandate to create this pseudo new world for whoever's left. So as I said before, their thing now is they're striving to work. They only want people that have businesses to exist or live or domicile in the city. If you work for somebody or you work for another person where you're receiving a check, then you fall under a second-class citizenship. Because there is no more middle class. If there was, you would be able to save money to the next check, but it seems like as soon as you pay rent, you got to pay rent again. There's no respite. That means that there's a backup in currency somewhere that's not allowing the cash flow to actually fill the coffers of everything. Because as soon as the money come in that you send to the government, it go out to the people that the government owe. I can go there. No. Okay. Cool. So it's become a uphill battle, if you will, to not only maintain your spiritual sanity, but your financial sanity at the same time. But while this is all going on, all you watching is people on cribs and these rappers and these people throwing hundreds of dollars and stuff all around the TV every 5 minutes. So what you're seeing is an overload in sensory perception based upon an illusionary aspect provided by a corporate entity or corporate entities that are seeking a unification of all corporations to one corporate ideology, which is the corporate body politic is God, and the human being is the worker to fulfill it. Because that will be a place then where the entities that inhabit most of these type of people will have open and free reign, where they don't have to wear the masks and stuff like that anymore to conceal the true agenda, because it's basically open. Like I said, if you piece the word the number 2012 on which is for the logo of the London Olympics together, you'll see that it spells out Zion the way that they wrote it, and it's also like a swastika, because the pseudo or so-called albino brotherhood, as they like to be known or whatever, is at the top, let's say Anglo, but is now being fueled by people who are not, And because we live in a realm or world where everybody has the right to be what it is they want to be here, everybody has then the right to function from the capacity of God or the devil. You know what I'm saying? And you, nor you or I have the right to a certain degree to force these people to be something that they don't want to be. Yet at the same time, they don't have the right to enforce their satanic agenda on us. Yet because Satan or satanic as a word or concept is usually juxtaposed in the aspect of Christianity, a lot of people don't necessarily believe or look at it functioning from other religious aspects. Meaning that for some reason there are hundreds of movies about the demonic aspect of the Catholic Church, exorcisms and all that other type of stuff, and how the Catholic Church don't want to deal with them. But it seems every movie they put out about it is either about some sort of exorcism shit or people, molesting children or some sort of ritual that goes along with being indoctrinated into that system. Be that as it may, it does not alleviate a huge demographic of Catholic people who are really devout and who really believe in that as a so-called religion, you know what I'm saying, and are not into any of that. You know what I mean? there's a lot of Caucasians who are totally against the whole shit. It's just that they still benefit. You know what I'm saying? And I've yet to see a lot of them other than people like William Ayers, and even that was just some, set up in the future shit. For those people who don't know William Ayers is, William Ayers was part of a government black op network they had called the Weatherman Underground. And he, along with his wife, were the facilitators of it. But we are made to believe that they are or were radicals who were, in a sense, against the government, like they had no government affiliation, when, that's not true. It was just made to look like that to keep them, give them some sort of credibility. But these people blew up federal buildings. These people shot cops. These people did wild stuff. They created another group like them, the dudes that kidnapped Patty Hearst, who are called the Symbionese Army, the Symbionese Liberation Front or Army or whatever. And they kidnapped Patty Hearst and put her through all of that. So recently speaking, she was already under the mind control, but that was basically because, her pops offered her up. And, this was again used to foment the affection amongst, let's say, black men and white women. People like Eldridge Cleaver, eventually, marrying a Caucasian woman and then turning Republican and then campaigning for Reagan. You know what I'm saying? These are people who are staunch, quote-unquote, black nationalists or black revolutionists. But again, people like that, people like Angela Davis, these people who are still revered by the pseudo-boule-minded black men and women, or the pseudo-bourgeoisie, who believe that they are radicals, when the true radicals, like Asada, peace be to her, more power to her, hands off her, and Bunchy God, like the real ones is the ones that you don't really hear about, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't hear about Noble Jolly on Black History Month unless you are more. You're not going to see no commercials about him or Sheikh Bruce Muhammad or Nat Turner or anybody that really meant anything to you. You're going to see the people who they want to present to you that were passive, and those people who were passively striving to create what they call racial equality, which itself is, again, another oxymoron, So you have these different polarities that are marketed to us as history when it's all really propaganda in the execution. Yet, based upon your comprehension and how far down the rabbit hole you are, you don't really associate one from the next. You just create a different perspective for one view, and then you leave room for another view and another view, and then pretty soon you feel like you have to allow all of these views to somehow, in order for you to have your view, you have to somehow entertain everybody else's. Not yet. So this becomes, like I said, the prerequisite for us now at this auspicious time in history to begin to reassociate ourselves with what real history is, and not what the marketed propaganda 250 years history that we've been given up to this point is given. It, like, black people look at episodes of Good Times like that really happened to them, because at the time that they were watching these shows, or they were actually, it was in a sense mirroring or mimicking aspects of the lives that they were living, and because there were really no black TV shows on, this was all we had that we could see as a representation of ourselves in that box. So the underlying mind program in this association is to get more of us in that box. You understand? Most of the things that lead to some sort of control in your life or over your life or for you to have in your life represent or come in the shape of a box or a rectangle. You know what I mean? The TV, the door, the credit card, you know what I'm saying, the Metro card, the Easy Pass, the window, the shape of the car. You know, you think about it, it would be more aerodynamic for cars to be made like spheres, like bubbles, almost. You know what I mean? Even if you put them on wheels, aerodynamically, the wind would rotate around, which would actually give you a smoother ride. I mean, I'm not an auto technician. I'm going based on what I know about airflow and aerodynamics, which is, you know, not the PhD level, because I didn't pursue it to that point, but I've read certain texts and books on it to understand the basic concept. So if that's the case, then why not? If you look at like cars like the Ferrari or whatever that are lower to the ground, they have more of a curvature in the front of their in the front of the car anyway. So it's showing you that there's something about a spherical design. Yet most cars again are rectangular. Why? You know, same thing with planes. Control is associated with shape. Shape is a derivative of archetype. Form comes from the soul. When you form something, you are bringing it from a place that is the triple stage darkness that is quoted by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Peace be upon it. When you create, it can be from a specific, it doesn't have to be from a specific state. When you manifest, you are bringing something, again, out of the soul. So these are different aspects or levels of what the quote-unquote New World Order referred to as the steps towards illumination. Yet, only the high, quote-unquote, ones are supposed to know what I'm talking to you about. When it's really all ancient, quote-unquote, African, for the layman term, African cosmogony and mythos anyway. All you got to do is go speak to somebody from the Dogon or the Twa, you know. We've been doing it. The Choctaw. You get this when you talk to your grandmother. But see, there was a inquisition against the true grandparents, in which now they've created a generation where the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter can all be in the same club at the same time. It's not supposed to be like that. Yet a lot of people are embracing this as this is some sort of new, free way of thinking, when all it really is just a kinder, gentler form of Luciferianism. And unfortunately, we all live here, so we all have aspects of it on us. That's just how it is. You can be as passive and as pious and as all of that as you want. Yet that's not balanced. If you are positive all of the time, then you do not respect the negative aspects of reality. Therefore, in times that you have to be negative and you choose to be positive, you will receive even a heavier effect because you don't have the mechanism in you to help protect you. A lot of reason that people who are vegetarian can sometimes become very crass and judgmental is because they are not chewing hard food sometimes. See, you have teeth for a reason. And your teeth are there to chew and gnaw at things. Because the act of breaking things down with your tooth that are harder is just like builds up the enzymes that strengthen the actual tooth. If you were made to be a total vegetarian, then you might have been manifested with smoother teeth or smaller teeth, because then your intake wouldn't need to be built up with so much mass. So I'm not telling people to eat meat who are vegetarians. I'm just saying that at points in your life, you should probably have a piece of meat. Now, am I going against an age-old, Sabian, Lyrian, a foreign doctrine that has been so entrenched in us that we can't understand that there's an aspect of you that is still having a human experience, and that maybe it not may be a piece of meat, but maybe it's something in the meat. I know babies who have picked up rocks and just sucked them. There's a reason for that. They're telling you something. A lot of vegetarians I know have horrible, strict vegetarians, have horrible teeth. You understand? Now, again, I'm not telling you to run out and get a piece of steak, and I'm not trying to go against, again, doctrines that have been laid out as a testament for you to live your life by. What I'm saying is that you are born as an individual, and therefore you have a responsibility to you to do what's best for you. And if you are following someone's doctrine to the point that your body is rebelling against you, then there must be something that you are doing that is not in harmony with what it is you think you're doing. You can't remake the wheel. There is balance in all things. Strive to be the middle to jet. For those people that don't know what a jet is, it's a pillar. If you think of the tree of life, think of the pillar in the middle. You got to strive to be that, so that way you can always get the best of both sides without decreasing your own integrity. Because that's what this world wants to do. It wants to break your integrity and make you think that you're smarter than you really think you are. And you're not. You can only be as smart as you are at the point that you are comprehending whatever it is you're comprehending. And what you know now may not necessarily be the utmost of what you will know. But you know more than you did yesterday. So that means that you're still growing. Therefore, as someone that's growing and evolving, for you to stay in one form or modality, I'm not talking about changing your appearance, but whatever. What I'm saying is, do you to the point that you are doing you to the fullest expression of you, because that's the you that we all need to be able to inspire everyone else and see that you can be you and still do things in the world and not feel inhibited based upon what you know. It's something in the conscious community or something in the community that is, it's like, because we know what we know, it's like we can't just function in a pseudo-normal capacity. Like, we just can't just seem to just, get it together. And that's not true. You the same. Look, man, you will always be you. You just go through 7-year intervals of shedding dead cells. So every 7 years, technically, genetically, you're a new person. That's the Wolverine healing factor that everybody got. Sometimes it'll take 7 years for some people to come out of the cloud. It happened to me with my first major relationship. And then shit happens, and you just realize that things is not what you thought they was. Then when you get the real consciousness about your culture as an original, as an Asiatic, then you like, damn, then it really gets crazy. But then it gets crazier when you start to see how many Asiatics is against you getting this knowledge, and how many quote-unquote Caucasians is just open to embrace you and learn more, because they want to know, because they don't already benefited from everything. So there's a narcissistic element that exists within them, that the apoptosis gene has been harvested so much that they don't really feel alive. So they have to do things to push them to the brink of death to get something out of it. It's not enough to smoke weed. You got to smoke weed. You got to do GHB. You got to do OxyContin. You got to do Vicodin. You got to do Prozac. You got to do heroin. You got to do cocaine. You got to do all of that. You got to jump out of a plane. You got to jump off a building. You got to shoot yourself in the head. You got to do some some wild shit just to be like, wow, the rush, right? The adrenaline, yes, because adrenaline is melanin. Remember where you heard it first. Adrenaline that they say, oh, I want, is a concentrated form of melanin. Why? Because it secretes itself off of the lining of the organ. And all of your organs are coated in melanin when you're an Asiatic person. Asiatic individual. Therefore, the concentrated flow of adrenaline through the body is the causing of liquidized or liquid melanin running through you. That's why they started to synthesize it in the form of a drug called adrenochrome, which is actually, again, pineal gland, that white people take all the time. Melatonin. Where you think this stuff is coming from? It's coming from black people. It's coming from human beings. You're ingesting it to go to sleep and wondering why you're waking up with nightmares and your life ain't going right. Because they're not telling you that they're feeding you to yourself. Soylent Green is people. Didn't Charles Heston say that? Didn't Moses say that? Wasn't that thing Moses? Caught in the Red Sea, standing in the middle. Look at the symbolism, people. So the realer you get with things, the less the distractions is coming. So what will happen is they can't stop you, so they got to impede you a little bit, hold up little things like us getting the book and all of that out and working, with, as the publisher, working with a company to distribute. It's like having a record label. You know what I'm saying? I'm in control, but not in control enough to be able to print my own at this point. And then somebody said something today like, well, why don't you just start your, buy your own printer and do all of that. And I was like, wow, that was really a good suggestion, brother. And yes, we did think of that. Yes, the cost effective to do that. So what? Okay, let me get this straight. So I gotta write the book, I gotta draw the book, I gotta compile it, edit it, re-edit it, final edit it, then buy the press, then protect it legally, all of that myself, which I've done. So I got to do all that and the printing too with no money and raising the baby. It's like, how am I supposed to do this? But that's when, you bring it down. I brought it down and looked at this brother and realized, this brother don't really know. This is what he's thinking. Hey, you could just do it like that. You look like you got it, right? And that's what I speak with our people. While a lot of times, sometimes we won't help each other because based on how we look, some people write it off like, oh, you got it. You know what I mean? And that may be true, but I may not have it that day. The worst thing a man can do is act like something he's not. And I don't. And that can really be a problem. When you really don't put on airs for people, that can be a real problem. So, again, you have to be congenial to be human, and that's part of civilization. So I'm not going to be an asshole. So I have to be as chevalier as possible, as a nobleman or a gentleman is supposed to be. And therefore, I can expect that from anybody that I meet or that's coming to meet me. Anybody that's not coming in that cipher is therefore savage. Therefore, they're not even going to come. You dig what I'm saying? You can raise their vibration to the point that certain shit just don't even come to you no more. It's very possible, man. And you do it more frequently than you think you do. Yet the true test is allowing yourself to, again, not take it personal, which is very hard. You know what I'm saying? Not get caught up in useless expectations of things that aren't real. And not allowing yourself to get caught up with the wrong energy. By always remembering that the people, especially in situations, ciphers or whatever, most likely representatives of their true self. Therefore, they're not really dealing in total up and upness. So you have to allow the get-to-knowing phase of a person to take a lot longer than most people would give it credit to. Some people can meet somebody, sleep with them right there. In fact, anybody could do that. You know what I'm saying? There are other people who would rather get to know a person, for a couple of days, and then do that. Some people take years. And that's how it's supposed to be, because the expression of physical reality through melanin is multifaceted and dimensional. So everybody's supposed to have a means of expression, or however they wanted to express themselves. Yet when that expression is used in a military fashion or in a way to somehow control everybody else, then it has to be done away with. It got to get done. Yet most of us have become dependent on this thing. You know what I'm saying? Most of us is functioning with this thing like this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's supposed to be like this. So there's this fear that festers in our community that kind of wears down our shared trust of a given experience. So we feel real good at the lecture, and then after we leave, and then we go into our everyday life or whatever, we look forward to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And don't get me wrong, I don't think they should stop. I don't believe that. I'm just saying there has to be people who are doing things or inspired to do things outside of that are bringing a greater energy to that to help employ people who are in that and all of that. That's what I thought we were all striving to do. But what I have seen is that ideology has become the method of commerce amongst that demographic per se. But not just commerce, but the peddling of forced ideas and erroneous concepts that are not really functional, you know what I'm saying? Or stuff that people have already done, just repackaged different. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had Super Heruians listeners send me excerpts of people's stuff that they telling me, like, yo, he quoting you verbatim. You got to go in on him and all of that. It's like, nah, I'm not going to do that, man. I'm just glad that you peep it. Tell the people that you know that when they bring these people's names up and all of that. So that way it's known again through the people, and it's not me always, you know what I'm saying, coming out and trying to, again, embrace this aspect of notoriety that goes along with it. You know what I mean? People are always going to bite what you do. People are always going to imitate what you do, especially if you're doing it well and at a certain consistency. And everyone should get represented and be applauded for the work that they do, if it is really their work. You know what I'm saying? So there's no, you know what I mean, aspect of when you really create, you create because that's what you're supposed to do, not because you necessarily want people to do the nods to it. I feel like I was writing this book for my whole life. But of that, it was maybe 15 years before that it was something else, because I was around certain people who turned out not to be my friends, because if they were, they'd be around now. And then after all of that phase was gone, and then, you know, everything else started, I would say in the last 8 years it's become something else, and then of that 8, the last 3 was actually culminated into creating it what it is. So now that it's here and it's doing what it's doing, I'm very happy, and I'm very appreciative for all of the support and all of the help, you know what I mean, that people have shown us, you know. Therefore, I know that this is something that is going to help. Therefore, I don't, again, need to beat on my chest or say this or say that based upon what people say or don't say, because these things are part of what happens when you get to the point, when I say you, or when I say I, I'm saying us, get to the point that you are really doing you. People get mad. But you got to almost embrace that and go directly to it sometimes, as opposed to acting like you don't know that that's what it really is. Because sometimes when you go directly to something, people automatically deny it, but sometimes they'll fess up. Sometimes they'll be amazed at you that you know it. You know what I'm saying? And that's good. This is what I mean about coming into different aspects of consciousness and allowing those aspects to guide you in a more enlightened fashion. So with all of the exposure that has been propelled by this thing that we have all created, it has now reached a point where it's about to really just crescendo and be what culture is going to be, because most of the bourgeoisie blacks are basically tied in totally financially with these corporations and these corporate entities. Therefore, it's not like they have to rhyme about money. It's just that they can't rhyme about nothing else. You understand? They can only be better in what it is they're already doing. There's not going to be anything groundbreaking from any of these major people. I mean, it may be groundbreaking on the level of the mundane, but for those people who really want new shit and new music, you know, it's not really going to go over so far. And that's cool, because every realm has its level. You know what I'm saying? Every angel has its own. Like I said, the top of this thing now is the throne. You know what I mean? And in that, like I said, the throne sits above the powers, but below the principalities. You see what I'm saying? So there's a principal entity above the throne that has to maintain everything else. That's why it's divided amongst the two. Or the two had to come together to be one, to sit in the one throne, because the throne, again, represents that aspect of the culture that has already been set aside for the true heir. So when they sit in it as the aspect. Thanks, Dave. Okay. Okay. I'm going to take the call real quick. The computers. You know what I'm saying? They got a whole different thing going on. So it becomes a different realm when you start to know or access that level of consciousness where people begin to look past, you know what I'm saying, their petty jealousies or whatever, and can just really just give you respect. Most of us, you know what I mean, have kind of reached that level, whether or not we want to accept it or not. And if you have and you acknowledge it, then that's good. And you should applaud yourself for acknowledging your own greatness, because there's nothing wrong with knowing that you are a great individual, man. It doesn't mean that you are less humble in the eyes of Creator, because you know that there is something greater, but you also know you are part of something greater that is beyond this world and beyond the petty influences and jealousies that beset it, or for mankind's glory to just try to prove that it could be God. That's all technology is. Convenience is the devil. We all know that. But I'm not just talking about the devil in the quasi form. I'm talking about the real physical form. Haven't you noticed you getting more and more drop calls? You got this $200 iPhone. You still, you know what I'm saying? Or unless you got a $200 iPhone, you can't keep no real call on no more. These phones do what the hell they want to do. They call people because they be turning them into listening devices. You understand? Because, again, there's a war going on between the two of them. Those two parties are warring against each other because they don't agree on how everything should be situated amongst the new, quote-unquote, empire. But the new empire is really the old one. It's the same bloodlines doing it all, which, again, is our ancient bloodlines that are now being redistributed into these neo-bloodlines and they're now being re-educated and re-influenced through these new pseudo-militaristic bloodlines created by these pseudo-Hollywood entertainment aspects. You'll watch 10, 20 years from now, the babies of all of these rappers will be marrying all the babies of all of these Hollywood people and so forth and so on. Because money marry money, regardless of who or what. That's how they maintain their thing. But the difference is these people think that they're integrating into a superior bloodline that they don't really realize how deep the African roots of it go, where really none of it is really European. Don't you find it odd that at the same time William went through this ritual, he got inducted into becoming a Knight of the Thistle, that the Kennedy died right after, and then the body was then exhumed right after that. Well, now her sister's body was exhumed after that, when his wife got raised. It's always ritual, man. This whole Batman thing. Really peep that, man. It's really going to be interesting because the series itself, as an ode to Anubis, is very significant in the rise of the original man. When they're talking about the Dark Knight Rising, they're talking about the time in which the original man, as Anubis comes into his own and realizes that the world can only be what it's supposed to be with him in it. See, a lot of us, I don't want to say a lot of black people have a death wish, but we've become almost so apathetic with death that we don't understand its aspect in life. So you always hear, Biggie said, I swear to God, I hope we effing die together, right? Well, that's one aspect. You hear that in love, you know what I mean? Love songs and stuff, dying and all of this tragic stuff, when really that's not even really love. That's torment based on lust and misguided feelings, which again is the aspect of life when you are trying to emulate a different culture's manner of being together. Like when you see, like nowadays, it's so prevalent, it's so thing that when you see a sister with her natural hair, like you have to acknowledge her. Like I urge every man and woman, even if you don't have your own, at least acknowledge her for being strong enough to have her own and walk down the street. You know how all these bitches get down and hate on women with hair and all of that. Keep it real, man. Let's stop putting on airs that we're more advanced than we are. We're at the precipice, but we're still kind of figuring it out because we're still waiting to see if everybody else going to get down with it. But we can't do that. Those of us that's really want it and really wants to do it, do it. Whatever it is, whatever you can do to contribute in that way, whether it be artistically, architecturally, whatever. You know what I mean? You know how many buildings, like I said, there's a body in almost every foundation that these crackers have built in this country, in these buildings, these skyscrapers and all that. Why would they call them skyscrapers? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, these sociologists and these people whatever, to say what they want. I believe, and the ancestors told me that them people blew up them built them buildings to blow them up. They could say whatever they want. I know what I know. So, regardless of who or what is going on in the country, we as original people always had our own network to kind of figure out what we should be involved with and what we shouldn't be involved with. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely a manner in which we, as original people, have to start to correspond with one another to be able to maintain that. So another way, again, is to look into the aspect of creating a family trust for yourself and your family. I urge you to do that. And in that trust, you can declare your nationality and everything else you want to declare. And be that and execute that and hook that up with a treaty-wise as well, with a Moorish consulate or embassy or something that is reputable and not connected to the 501c3 aspect of that, and get that recognized, and then find some way for these situations to be unified in that way. There is some sort of interface between them or you, where everybody gets put on notice that they just leave you alone. The same way they would leave alone a Seminole or anybody else that they would get in contact with or try to arrest or whatever. They would hand them, bring them down to the station, call the BIA come down, deal with them, and so forth and so happen. Same way if you was if you had a federal case or whatever, and they found, state people found you and ran your name, and then they would have to wait for the feds to come and get you because they would have prior jurisdiction. So if that can happen for them, same thing can happen. Same thing with a Russian national or somebody of certain importance or whatever would happen. They would come down and get them or call and get them out. Because based on the trust and an officer of the trust, you represent, and a minister of the trust, you represent a faction of the family that has to be there to secure the interest of that said trust, which is private, and because it then is connected also to an indigenous aspect, that means you and everyone else could be connected to that and protected by it. The same way Rothschild and the rest of these people made a family trust for their people, same way they did it. The only thing their family trust was called Standard Oil. And then they broke that up into Getty and Chevron and BP and this and that and the other. And all of those companies still work together and have basically started getting back together since the early 80s. Therefore, if you're working for an entity that's not necessarily connected with an integral aspect of the city, you know what I'm saying, then you need to start to hone whatever creative juices or ideas or whatever else you got popping, so that way, God forbid, these people bring the hammer down, you can get your unemployment and start your own business and use that strawman interface as a way to allow them to pay their debt. You must always remember, the fiat paper currency can change in a second. They don't care because they print it all. So it's not about that. Therefore, whatever's used or reused has to be accounted for because it's evidence of their debt, not yours. You're only using it because under the administrative aspect of the presidency of the United States of America in the United Nations, they'll try to arrest you for it. But under the original Congress of the Republic of the United Nations, of the United States of the United States for America and General Congress assembled in the family of nations, it says you could pay with whatever you want. You can pay with gold, silver, whatever. Only United States citizens are required to do that, and only United States citizens that exist are 14th Amendment citizens. So if you're not that, you could pay for whatever you want with whatever you want. They're doing it. Go online and type up alternative currencies being used in the U.S. right now and see what you see. And at the head of those currencies, you'll see Caucasian people. The only groups that I know that's using it like that, that's amongst us, is the Mexicans. Peace to them. More power to them. And that's the only one I know of right now. I had somebody that I was trying to plug people into with it a while ago, but then he, wound up getting a square gig. So the spook who sat by the door mentality is not as dormant in the generation that came up under Rakim and them than the generation now. So that means we got to get the Chris Brown and younger generation. Because the people that's already, in the jobs creating music, the Stevie J's and these people, you see these people. Like I said, right now, everybody's up for grabs. They sacrificing everybody. So that shows you the level of disarray. This dude being inducted into the Order of the Thistle symbolizes a further union between the Rothschild family, the Collins family, swaying away from the whole present ruling structure in America, headed up by the principal committee. They're the ones who tell the guy in the White House what to do. One of those being Hillary Clinton. So due to that, and due to the proximity of this so-called end of the world program to initiate the blue beam stuff and all of that, that's being tested through the 3D movies and all of that right now. So this is a semblance of how they want the world to be. Like Gotham City that you're going to see in this Batman movie is essentially the urban network that leads to the anarchy. And Anubis, you know what I mean, going against Bane, which represents Cain. So it's really a Cain and Abel story in that. So it's this whole montage of energy coming right after the Anansi energy put forth and put out through Spider-Man, after coming through the Orisha energy from the Avengers, satiated by the Prometheus energy, which was a prequel to the Alien trilogy, which represented the dilution of the pseudo of the original melanin gene into the grafted, made, quote-unquote, devil. In the course of all of that came all of the ritual sacrifices during the meantime, as well as the ascendancy. Brandy moves up. Monica moves up. What's his name moves up. Kardashian or whatever moves up. All of these archetypes that the children of the world are basing or emulating themselves to be, which again is the archetype or future of what it is they want the Luciferian generation, the first openly Luciferian generation, to be embraced. So once they start talking about the Israel peace thing and Israel giving back the Gaza Strip, that's going to be the usher into the whole situation of the talks of rebuilding the Temple of Solomon. Because there's two Temples of Solomon symbolically they're building. They want to try to build the original one to match the fake Revelation prophecy, and then they have been erecting the spiritual one in the form of the satanic takeover of the influence in the minds of the global populace, the adoption of clothes with satanic imagery and things like that. Now, I'm not talking about your everyday Satanist, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, Ted, Pendrigan or whatever they call him, the wild names they give him. So I'm going to talk about them people, because them people is just people who may be devout in that, right? And they give him, whether or not they know it, more power to bring forth more of these entities to run rampant in their lives as well in the lives of their community. But they're not really the people you need to worry about. The people who's doing it is Scientologists, these Tom Cruise, these upper Hollywood niggas, the Redstones and the Spellings and the people who they summon and work with. Because these are the archetypes or the architects of how pop culture became the dominant culture of the world. American culture was not the dominant culture of the whole planet at one point. It only became that after World War II. America wasn't seen as like the dominant thing the way it is now. You got to remember that. So they're only talking about 80 years that they've been trying to spread this empire, and maybe 10 or 20 years that they've been open about doing it. So they're supposed to have been wrapped this up. They're supposed to have been had you in jets and cars and all of that. They can't do that because they want to create a society where they keep that for themselves and leave you, fighting for scraps. Same way it is now, but just more open, like you see in the Hunger Games and all of that, where you're bred just to do one thing. So the more young people who embrace that aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't get the education. Get the education if you want. You know what I mean? But know that you're going to have to leave and make something for yourself immediately, because these people ain't going to, what they want you to do is languish then after you know all of that by waiting tables for the rest of your life. When you're so swarmed in debt, you can't do nothing else. You can't be creative. The more you create, the more money you make. Yourself, I mean. The more you help people make money in the sense of corporations, the more you lose. Because you can never make the corporation enough because the corporation don't exist. What exists is the corporate officers that embody the corporation. Therefore, because they have the ability to be soulless because they are representing something that's not real, they are no longer human. This is why they can switch. You could be the head CEO of McDonald's, and they switch you to be the head CEO of Ford, and they switch you to be the head CEO of Good Boar's Head Ham, then they switch you to be the head of whatever. They don't care. Because you're just a figurehead. You're just a figurehead for the entity that exists in the office that you're occupying to get its justification to exist in a physical place. Ronald McDonald is a demon. Captain Morgan is a Moor. Burger King is a Holy Roman Emperor. White Castle represents the White Castile of Castile and Aragon that expelled you from Andalusia. So this is what's going on, man. It's a cycle on repeat that has now reached the point that it's about to go to reset. So they're killing each other to figure out how they're going to reset it, while at the same time struggling on how to better understand which one of them they can trust and which ones they can't. So whenever that goes down, somebody got to get sacrificed, and the first one's up, the Kennedys, ever since, because they weren't really of the blood like that. They got in through money. They got that's like Lil Wayne and them, Jim Jones and these niggas paying to get in blood through T. Rogers and shit. Like, they paid to get in, so they're not really fully in. You dig what I mean? So they could still be expendable or sacrificed based upon the fact that they, like when you see the Sicilian movies, when they kill the Irish dude instead of the Italian dude because he wasn't really of the blood like that. And what they don't tell you in that Omerton ritual or that is when they trace your books, actually they always trace it back to the Moor that existed and married that first white woman. That's the books they go back on. Take you all the way, you got to go all the way back. They only go back to 150 years. What they then do is try to go to, they don't want to go back further to that 700-year mark because that would be when that first Caucasian woman or that first WAP, as they say, was taken by that Moor. So to this day, the difference is now you have the Caucasian woman adopting all the Moorish babies, the same way you saw paintings back in the day that I've shown in different classes and stuff. We're going to do a whole, when I get back to in August, we're going to do a whole class on the Moorish Renaissance art and its influence on the so-called cartoon industry. And in that, you'll see the pictographical evidence of how we geometrically mapped out these paintings to map out certain star systems. And the lie that the Moors never made the pictures of themselves, again, was just a gross misrepresentation of those Sunni influence in which they believe that they can't have no influence of themselves because that goes against our law. So instead of going to the people who gave the Sunnis the information, they dealt with the Sunnis after the Sunnis flipped it and used the Sunni information and called it Orthodox. So, sorry. You know what I'm saying? The original Prophet Muhammad is the one I'm dealing with. And again, his father was an Axumite, meaning from Abyssinia, meaning he was a Coptic, meaning that he believed in Christ. So the relationship between the Hebrew, the Coptic, and the Muslim, you know what I'm saying, is integral because all of that is more. So when they start, again, talking about this whole thing with Israel now, after they agree that they're going to create a no-fly zone over Syria, that's going to be the sign for you to know that they're going to try to flip more gas prices hikes up here towards the winter, and then start to push for this Keystone thing, this pipeline thing. So look for a couple of more fires to set, as well as like a fake earthquake. Well, not really a fake earthquake like they're doing it, but like an earthquake based upon this whole Capricorn energy just coming through is deep, and you know. So let's get into a call. 323 on Super Heru Radio.
Peace, King. How you doing?
Peace. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I'm doing good. This Taekwondo, man. Peace to your
Indeed,
family
it's
too, man.
Big voice, bro. That's what's up. They
yeah,
good, man.
Long time, man.
Indeed.
Got through. Man.
Indeed.
Yeah, man. Hey, real talk though, I have to tell you this, King, man. I really, really appreciate everything that you do, man. I'm trying to work out some things right now, you know what I'm saying, due to my funds being super duper low, but trying to work out some things where I can like really, really be able to support y'all like I really want to, because it's like, man, I'm looking at my life, yo, and I'm just like, man, it's a very beautiful and good thing, you know what I'm saying, whatever, but, you know, I'm like really trying to get free. You know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
And
Indeed.
I just have to give you props, man, because you helped me out a lot, man. You know what I'm saying? You helped me out more ways than one, to the point where it's like I'm able to, you know what I'm saying, do the knowledge to stuff, man, and, you know what I'm saying, I can know what's going on, you know what I'm saying, to the point where I can feel content with myself and do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I really give you props, you know what I'm saying, whatever. Seriously, man, you taught me a lot. I have another sister of mine that I talk to on a day-to-day basis. We stay destroyed in the building, and I know you know her. Her name is Morena, and me and her be talking on the time. Yeah, that's what people said. So, yeah, so me and her be building and everything, and I just be telling her, like, yo, you know what I'm saying, did you hear us here show? And then she was like, nah. I'm like, yo, you bugging. I'm like, you bugging. I'm like, man, you need to, you know what I'm saying, like, man, this, you know, the information and everything, you know what I'm saying, you got to be on it, man, because when it's all said and done, you don't want to get caught up in the okie doke. You know what I'm saying? I mean, real talk, though.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I have to go ahead and give you props, man. Much love to you and your fam, man. I'm telling you, it's just like, dude, because it's going down. Like for instance, like, I was walking through the hallway because I'm at work right now, and
I feel you.
I was walking through.
I feel you. I'll hold it down, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah,
man. I appreciate it.
I was walking through the hallway, and you know what I'm saying, I was talking to a couple friends of mine, and you know, they was watching Mr. You Know Who on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
right.
So, you know, he talking and stuff and everything, talking about the election and all this and that, and you know what I'm saying? I was kind of happy one of my friends, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, was saying some things, because what I told my friend was, I was like, you know, that's Mr. Slick Talker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like,
man.
come on,
you know,
dude. It's like, are you serious? Yeah, are you serious? So it was a lady that was up in there, and I was just, just like, man, look, this dude lying straight through his teeth. Like, dude, come on. And then, how people is, since they, since be on that type of stuff, they got to go ahead and vouch for him. Even though if we say the truth, they still got to go ahead and vouch and put the lies there. So she said it to me, yeah, so she said there, and she told me, yeah.
They got to do it,
So I was just like, oh, I don't want to take it down. So I was just like, wow. So what happened was she ended up saying something, but she said something to the point where she was just like, okay, well, because I told her I don't vote. I told her that.
Mm-hmm.
I told her I don't vote. And then, she was telling me that, she's from the South and, send her people vote. And I said, yeah, I know all that. I know all about that. I got people in the South, too. I understand that. I understand they, whatever, die and all this and that and everything. But yet and still, what you're doing and what you're saying to me, I feel you're telling me that I have to vote and I don't have to do a damn thing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? For real.
Exactly.
So it's just like, I understand my, my ancestors and my peoples, they, you know what I'm saying, died, voted and everything. I understand all that, but if you really look at it, we're in a different time now to the point where we don't even have to do none of that. It was never meant for us to do. You know how we do the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? You know what's up, but I didn't pay attention to it.
Do none of that right now, man. We should be able to get everything for free. Right now, all black women in the country should be able to ride the bus for free. Anybody over the age of 45, they need to be able to just sit down anywhere. Everybody got to get up. You know what I mean? Based on Rosa Parks, what she did, but they don't do that. What they do is they put a little plaque above the first seat in the bus to fulfill the ritual. This is to honor our ancestors, but at the same time, we are not honoring ourselves, because to this day, when we was a kid, what's the first thing we did? We got on the train or the bus. You go to the back of the bus, not because we slaves, but because that's basically the foundation of the bus. You know what I'm saying? We naturally, as people, go to the foundation. But because the white man said we can't sit in the front, we get involved in the psychological operation of trying to prove that we could sit in the front instead of realizing what difference does it make. If this nigga want to take the shit, then let him take the shit. Or how about this? How about we put money up and get our own bus? Because what did it do? When everybody said that they had to get to work, so what they do? They all had to get their own bus lines, they had to get their own cars, and all of that. And what did that do? That brought more money to the community, more black people was looking out for each other, more black people had businesses. Then what happened? 60s come around, they create the late 60s come around, early 70s come around, they introduce the drug shit, the heroin and all that. We burned down all of our neighborhoods from 66 to what? To 71, to the first riot, then from them period, then from 70s to the early 80s, we basically reconstituted, figuring out how we're going to get money. And then what we had to do, everybody went to work. Then what do we get on TV? The Cosby. We go from Good Times to the Cosby. Now we see what it's like to be black people with money. And then that's what we strive to do. So this don't say that we shouldn't get money and that it wasn't progressive, but what did we lose in the meantime? We lost the ability and didn't realize that we lost the ability to do for ourselves, because all them black bus lines that was started got taken over by Greyhound, by Amtrak, by everything else. But this is the part of Black History Month that nobody want to talk about. This is the part of Black History Month that's a problem. This is why when I be around these pseudo black intellectuals, they don't really want to be around me and talk, because you know if you start talking that shit, man. But nowadays, I'm to the point where I'm like, keep your opinion, man. I'm not trying to convince nobody of nothing.
Right.
Like, if you think that you need to vote and do all that, you should do that, man. You should keep voting. You should do everything that these people tell you to do, if that's what you believe, man. Just let me do me.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's America, right? Let me do me.
That's what I'm saying, man.
If I don't use this straw man, somebody going to use this nigga. Somebody going to make money off of it. So then what? So now I'm rescinded it. I'm cut out of the money that's already set up for me. What the hell? You understand what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking about.
Like
look, check it out.
Game.
I was telling two of my friends, right? I was telling them, I said, look, man, I said, why is it that every time when we have a conversation, right? I said, why is it that every time we have a conversation, somebody always got to sit up there and put that little slick stuff up in there and say something negative about you? Like what she said, well, just by you, hey, how you doing? She said, just by you not voting, you ain't going to have no job. Man, I must have looked at her like, you lost your mind.
Are you crazy?
Are you crazy?
Man. You see? Yeah. But again, they teach you how to get a job.
I'm like, but I went back, though. I got back on my square, though. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because just like what you said, and it makes a whole lot of sense, I don't have to prove anything to you, though. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm going to let you know what's going on, since you think just because, so whatever, I have to vote in order for me to be able to survive. You got another thing coming. I got things in the mix right now, setting up to get my own business. You know what I'm saying? And I feel I give praise and thanks to the ancestors, the universe,
that's
and I give thanks to y'all too. Right, and thanks to y'all too, because y'all the ones that's bringing this, man.
Not to support yourself financially. Ain't no ancestor ever told you that. I ain't never read no spiritual book, no nothing that they said that you had to be dead broke to be spiritual. I ain't never read that. But at the same time, you don't have to have money to be spiritual. So it's up to you. What do you want to do? What you going to do with it when you get it? Are you going to help people with it, or are you not, man? And if you're not, cool. If you're going to help, cool. I know what I'm doing. I'm not waiting for nobody to tell me what to do or how to do it or whatever. If this nigga don't want to buy the book, this man might. This man might buy it free. But either way, I'm not changing what's in it to automatically off the rip, get some type of major deal where they could come in and then turn them blue and green and shit and do all types of other stuff and make the hero white and then people looking at me like, damn, I said you sold out. And they right.
Right.
So it's taking me longer to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, we still got to eat. We still got to teach the baby. We still got to be married. You know what I'm saying? Like people, with this thing, man, you got to be as real as you was prior to you having a consciousness, and then you, like you say, you get to a level now where you just can kind of just coast and just let people do them. So long as they don't interfere with what you're doing, you straight. The minute they start interfering with what you're doing, just know whatever ancestor you think about when you start talking to these people is the one that whatever in them is going to be running from. So they're going to get away from you. Because when they see you coming, they see all of that coming with you. And they know that that's what it is. That's why these white people are fine, yo. These white people treat me great. At this book signing, son, they was great. That's what I'm trying to say.
Man,
but then when I call the honest farm people, the black people, they running me through the third. They want like a blood sample. Like, what the hell is wrong with y'all niggas? Then I'm talking white man. He like, nah, and no money. So it's like, again, I'm going to go with the faucet that works. If you're going to say that this faucet is black and this faucet is white, then what I'm going to do is buy me a bottle of water or wait till I get home and drink from my own faucet instead of involving myself in your little psychological satanic ritual to one day adopt my son to the point where he now feel like he can't be a black man because he ain't going to get no money. That's sick, man. These black people are down with that.
I'm already knowing, man. Trust me. That's why, you know what I'm saying, when you answer my call, I have to go and give you props, man, because I learned a lot from you, dude, and I really, really appreciate it, man. And I'm telling you, I'm supposed to be getting some cheese this week. So what I'm gonna do is I got this thing going on. Yeah, I got this thing going on with my PayPal account, man. I don't know what's going on with that, so I'm trying to find out some other ways how I can be able to, you know what I'm saying, be able to get things, whatever online.
I'll let you on the joint. I'll let you on the joint. And then we'll do it.
I got to get them. Man, trust me, you my thing. I got to support you. Got to support you.
I appreciate it.
Got to.
So we got to get somebody else there.
Yeah, no problem. I got you, King.
All right, thing. Love and light to you.
Much love.
Be safe out there, and I'm going to holler at you this week, man.
For sure. Much love to you and the fam, man.
After Wednesday.
Peace.
Peace. (516) Super Heru Radio.
Peace, King.
Peace.
Peace. This is Ed from Strong Island.
Hey, what's up, King? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well, man. Thanks for calling.
Not a problem, man. I wanted to ask if you could expound on the term Asiatic. I wanted to know. I'm curious if I could, if it's a good term to use in your proclamations for nationality and paperwork.
Definitely. There's a book. I think Barry Fell wrote it, but don't quote me on that. But it's called The Lost Asiatic Kingdoms of either Ancient America or Early America. And you can literally use excerpts from that book. That's what I was going to say, too, with people with your paperwork. When you start dealing with nationality paperwork and stuff, you can actually use excerpts from books and bibliographies as evidence, literal evidence of your nationality by what it is you put into that. So there's excerpts where they talk about the aspect of Asiatic being, you know what I mean, brown skin or darker brown skin to dark chocolate or dark brown or black skin, original inhabitants of America, especially in places like California, La Venta, Amaru, which is now Peru, as well as New England. It basically is a when Elijah Muhammad was speaking of it, he coined it as the original Asiatic black man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you take which I discovered was an anagram for Moab, because when you take that first letter from each aspect, each word, original Asiatic black man, and make them right, it's Moab. And we know the Moabites, or the original Moabites, are the Canaanites. The Canaanites are the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians are connected to the Etruscans. The Etruscans are the Minoans. See what I'm saying? Goes back to Kemet, you know what I mean? But when we speak of Kemet, we're talking about a kingdom that exists over here and over there. Because remember, we go back to a history when the whole planet was together, but we talking about the history when it was split up. So when you start claiming nationality and stuff like that, you can use these documents as Exhibit A, Exhibit B, just like you would in court, to verify and document by their own Caucasian writers and people like that, anthropologists, to say who and what you are, that already validated it. So what they're going to, especially when you throwing pictures and shit. Like, I used to do shit like that, like a dark skin. See, but what happens is, when you use also Asiatic, it binds you also with the ancient Ixian Empire, what they call the Shang Empire, which was connected with the Olmec stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you can look into aspects of that as well. But in claiming direct nationality in Asiatic, it is a relevant term to me. You know what I'm saying? In the paperwork that I used when I did that.
I'm definitely going to look up into that. Because I was watching The Hangover Part 2, and the dude with the beard,
yep.
he was reading a note, and he said nigger. And then way later in the movie, he offended some Asian people. And then he just went in front of them, and he didn't say Asians. He said to all Asiatics, I want to apologize. And it just made me think, like, well, was he really apologizing for saying nigger,
Exactly. Yes. Yes, because that's what you peeped. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what you peeped, and then you brought that to us. Yes, that's exactly what it was. But to the layman, you know what I mean? Even to the writer, he may not even know. But it doesn't change the fact that it's true,
Okay. All right. Thanks, my brother.
All right.
Thank you so much.
No doubt.
All right. Peace.
One more in.
The word on that.
806, Mr. Baby Radio.
Peace, bro.
Peace. Can you hear me?
This brother Eric, man. What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
All right. Oh, man, I've just been chiming in, man. See what y'all had going on. I ain't really got much, man. I just wanted to say, every time I call and listen to you, man, you always got that spiritual food for me, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I got a question, though, if you got a little bit of time left.
What's up? Try to keep it brief, because we only got like 10 minutes.
Okay, this is going to be real short. Like, I've been dealing with, like, a lot of people in my life that you ever met someone that you just try to get a point across to them, not forcefully, but just to give advice, and they don't take the advice, but then 2 days later they come back and just like, oh, what you said was right. I'm trying to figure out, what is it I'm doing wrong? Is that a spiritual thing, or is that more of a like a material, a manifest material? Like if I had more materials or whatever, then it's like the backing of what I'm saying is, I guess, more valid or whatever. That's what I'm trying to figure out, man. If that's more of a spiritual thing I have to deal with, or physical or monetary types.
I don't think that's up to you. You don't have the ability necessarily to alter people's opinion once they've made their opinion up. But you have the ability to be what you always are, which is a good brother. So when you express yourself, you got to express yourself in the form of giving and not necessarily feeling like people need to listen. You know what I mean? Because most people are not really listening anyway. They just waiting for their turn to talk. So what you got to allow yourself to do is drop the jewel and keep it moving. If they want to follow it, cool. If not, cool. Because in the end, it's not up to you to worry about that. It's for them to realize that it was a jewel they got to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So keep that up and you'll be straight. And that's less stress for you.
Okay, well, it was kind of making me.
If you have to repeat yourself, try not to repeat
bad.
yourself more than 3 times in any situation. After that, it's done.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So thank you.
Yeah, because it. All right, bro. Peace, man.
And be safe.
Bye.
Peace. Yeah, everybody. So coming down to the end of the night, I want to say peace and thank you guys for coming through. For those people in New York, if you can come through, you can come through at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, July 18th at Bulletproof Comics, which is 2178 Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. I'll be there signing copies of the Dark Soul 418, as well as the soundtrack to the State album CD done by Team Cordoba, which is myself and my own beautiful wife, Selena. And Amore's on it, too, produced by myself and brother named Phoenix Beats out of Philly, Phoenix Beats, Chapter 31 Studios. Yeah, again, it's Bulletproof Comics at 2178 Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. If you want to call for direct driving directions, you can call 718-434-1800. You can call in and verify that. The Duke will be there. And hopefully we see you guys out there. It'll be great. And then after that, we'll have something else announced after that. But again, this Wednesday at 6 o'clock, July 18th, Bulletproof Comics, you come down, check us out. We'd love to see you, and we'd love you to check out the book. I call it a comic book novel as opposed to a graphic novel because, again, I want it to be something along itself. And also because it is written like a novel. So even if you don't read comics or you have an aversion to comics or, you like comics or not or whatever, it's a good read, period. We're going to have it on ebooks. You can go to www.softsoul418. We're getting the ebook converted right now. So please spread the word that we have the site up, www.softsoul418. If anybody wants to put up some posters in their city, in their community for us, we really appreciate it. We can help. I'll mail them to you free of charge. You can just put them up, pass the flyers out. It'd be great. Spread the word about the book. We're going to have more to come with that, bigger and better things, but we want to keep that kind of on the low for now. But please come through, check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it. It'll be great to see you. Also, you can go to www.akidajibakid.com if you ever want to see any of our older let's say, research or DVD lecture type work, as well as our first album, referred to as the Birth Record, which is on iTunes. If you go to TuneCore and you type in Team Cordoba, TuneCore.com, type in Team Cordoba, it'll come up. But it's also, if you go to www.darksoul418, the soundtrack mixtape album, our new album, will be there. Immediate platform as well for you to purchase, I believe. So we really appreciate the support. Everybody that came down to the on this Friday the 13th. Everybody that had dinner with us afterwards. Everybody that traveled mad far, places like Maryland and stuff like that, to come and see us. You know what I mean? It's real, man. Like people who it's ill in situations like that because people who you don't expect to come and people who you don't expect don't. It's real deep. But in that, it's real good in the sense that we were there and everybody could hold us down and support the material. Again, big up to the Forbidden Planet for having us. And we're going to have more events there as we launch different things like the toys and things like that. We also have a DS-14 coloring book for the kids to get associated with the characters. We'll have that on the site. You can keep checking darksoul418.com. And in the back, of the coloring book, there'll be like a page where your child or you could draw a rendering of one of the characters or make up a new one and email it to the DarkScroll418.com section where it says the DarkScroll418 Adventure Society, the email list, and send it up. Whoever got the best joint, you know what I mean, we'll send you something dope. So please, thank you again for the continued support of our work and keeping it real and spreading the word about Super Heru Radio. It feels real good to be the most known underground with it without having to go through all of the, extra stuff that goes on with this whole scene, per se. You know what I mean? Which, again, I try to orbit as opposed to being fully in, just based upon the aspects of the material that could corrupt you. So keep the wits about you, know what's going on, know what you're talking about, search the thought, commune with yourself, commune with others that's on the same tip, strive to be the best you can be, create something for yourself, pass a legacy that you can give to your children, man. That's all we got. At this stage, what we have is the future. So, as an Afrofuturist, I'm urging us to be able to look beyond what it is we perceive and be what it is we want to achieve, you know what I'm saying? And we got to do it, because ain't nobody else going to. And most of these bourgeoisie, boule types, then all be sold out. And I'm even talking about the hard street ones, you know what I'm saying? But there's still an element in the hood that exists where brothers is real, man. And they not going to be able to control everybody. So we got to keep that fighting spirit. All of those brothers that's out in the hood that hasn't been justified on the edge of New York, you know what I mean? People over there in the projects out towards Linden, towards the back, you know what I mean? People in Brownsville, people in those areas in Crown Heights, people in those areas in the Bronx, people in those areas in Queens, all of that have been foreclosed on, that have had their houses and been forced to move based upon shit. But they done sold weed out of, crack out of, everything else, rehabbed it, filled it up, had to get it out for the sheriff. Just know that the time is coming when all of that is switching up. And just know that for whatever it's worth, I put as much as I could into this opus that I call the Darkscroll 418, the world's most dangerous comic book novel. And it's real. You know what I'm saying? Or is it? But in terms of quote-unquote real life, it's about what it is we are going to have to pull it out from ourselves. So if we can do things to inspire each other to do that, let's continue. And let's not hate on each other or covet each other, try to create fictitious systems based upon what you see other people doing and all of that to just come out like you was always about it when you know damn well. And then when the real people reach out to you to say peace and all that, you shun it because you know you're shamed, because you know you're not living right, because you know you're just a copycat, because you know you're just a mimicker. And we have to start as strong black men and strong black women, like our strong black uncles and aunts who seem to be the most realest ones in the family for whatever reason. And the ones that was the hated on in the family, they're the ones who basically used to stand up and be like, nah, I'm not with that. So we got to start being on that too. When you write raps and all that, don't quote nobody else rapping your shit, man. Write your own raps. You know what I mean? Make your own beats. Stop. I mean, every once in a while, cool, but don't fall into the system of making mixtapes with other people's beats and stuff, man. Make your own. Even if you got a beat on the table, man, make that shit the hottest beat on the table record that you ever heard. Even if you're singing guitar, whatever it is, whatever you stop doing to get money, find a way to get money by doing that. And we'll all be all right. So until next Moon Day, we say peace on Super Heru Radio. Again, I'm your host. Please come down and check us at I'm your host, Aseer the Duke, along with my co-host, Selena, 10,000 Years or More, Saga, you, us, Super Heru family. We want to say peace. Again, please come down, check us out at Bulletproof Comics on Wednesday, July 18th at Equality Hour, which is 6 o'clock p.m. You're going to be there signing copies of the Darkscroll 418. please check out www.DotScore418.com. For orders of the book, please bear with it. We're working with this publisher people or whatever, and they kind of whack. So with that, we want to say peace. Again, we're going to be down there on Wednesday on the 18th, 6 o'clock, Bulletproof Comics. I said it to the kids. We're going to make it happen. Peace.